How's it going, John?
Oh, it is going well tonight, Eric. How are you?
I'm tired.
Welcome to my life. Welcome to my life.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
I
it's all good.
I got back from vacation last week or this week.
Mm-hmm.
This week, I guess I was on vacation last week, and so yeah, I felt super refreshed and ready to get back into it. And it's been six something starts every morning this week. I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's just early.
I was kind of on vacation last week as well. Sort of. My non-work days were essentially driving days, but I left early and was able to hang out with the family and stuff. But
yeah,
I am 800 miles is a long way to go.
You've made that drive a lot this year.
Well, normally it's a relatively inexpensive plane ticket.
Yeah.
No planes.
No planes. So, give it another couple months, and most people will be vaccinated, and we'll be pretty good to go. I'm actually kind of, at least minorly, jealous. I wouldn't mind doing that drive once. I just don't want to do it a bunch.
Well, if you ever get a hankering, I'm pretty sure I can accommodate.
A road trip just for company?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be fun. I still have yet to try whatever that fry place is in Idaho.
Boise Fry Company.
There you go, Boise Fry Company.
There's one in downtown Portland. Well, there used to be. I don't know post-pandemic if it's still there.
Did it survive the COVID?
No idea.
Yeah. A lot of things didn't or haven't. Yeah.
Well, I know you've been playing with it too because I've been showing, but my oldest daughter is in her senior year in college, and one of their projects is a game design, and it was her game design that everybody voted to do. So she's the game director.
Cool.
And she created a character. Basically, it's a platform. I think it's called a platformer. She tells me the names. I'm not that big, but basically it's a left to right. Yep. It's 3D, but it's left to right.
Sure.
And you're a kaiju, and you just run and destroy things. That's the whole point of the game. Destroy buildings, destroy things. Okay. You just stomp, and you get power-ups to get extra stomping.
Kaiju is like Godzilla.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so she sent me a 3D model of the main character in the game. Uh-huh. And so I have been playing around with trying to 3D print it and send her a copy. And I know you have too, because you have different kind of printer. So
Yep. I have printed out maybe one success so far, but two prototypes and one success.
She is very excited about it, and I told her I would mail them to her this weekend so that she could show off to all the people at the office. Now, does the green one you have, does that dry solid, or is it stay clear?
Honestly, I've never printed anything with it. That's the first successful print with it. So,
because she saw that and was all excited about, it looks like goo. I want my kaiju goo. Like, I don't know if that's how it ends up, but okay.
We will find out.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's pictures, because that was the default resin that came with the Anycubic, but the stuff that I had been reading before had suggested this Elegoo. No, Elegoo? I think that's right. Elegoo resin. So, I think I might have printed one thing at the very beginning. Sorry, now I'm thinking that I think it will stay relatively transparent. So, anyway, we'll see. It'll be good.
Yeah.
I'm kind of frustrated with my printer, so I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong, but I've got to figure it out, because it's driving me a little bit crazy. And I'm getting like 2 prints, and then I'm having to replace the film underneath it, which is not how it's supposed to be. And I've replaced the film 3 times in the last week, and I must be doing something wrong.
I think somewhere there's a questionnaire that says, "Are you frustrated? Oh, you must own a 3D printer." The same here. Mine did a little shift, on a 30-hour print at hour 26, it crashed. It's like, oh, you're killing me. Killing me.
Yeah. Well,
anyways.
I don't think it's possible for me to do a 36-hour print. The cool thing about these resin printers is that it prints an entire layer at a time. So
right.
the number of layers you have is what determines the height. It doesn't have to, there's no X, Y in it. It's only Z. And
right.
it's really fine. It's like 0.0, I think I'm printing at 0.05 millimeters. So basically 20 layers to the millimeter, which is really small. But yeah, I think the longest print I've seen or I've done was maybe 9 hours. And that took up most of my vertical build volume. So I could maybe go another couple inches, which would, add another couple hours to it. But I think that's about as far as it could go. But anyway, that's pretty cool.
Ready to do something we've never done before?
Oh, what's that?
An intro topic.
An intro topic. Okay, I'm game.
Well, it was like, do we follow up? This is remember the discussion of murder hornets and...
Oh, yeah.
We talked about that a few times. Well, I saw an article, occasionally...
I'm clicking this link.
You'll talk bees in the intro. And so I thought, well, I'll let John talk bees and we'll have a link.
Ooh.
But apparently there are these honeybees, Asian honeybees, found that use feces to ward off the murder hornets. And I thought, so I guess everybody adapts. If murder hornets start to take off, then then bees will adapt. I wonder if that's the comment in here is that the fecal spotting not only repels the giant hornets, it's the first clear example of tool use in honeybees.
What's that tool use?
I was going to say, I don't normally associate, leaving, I assume it's bee poop. What other kind would it be? It just occurred to me, maybe that's not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyways.
So that's cool, though.
Oh, coating the hive with animal dung. So not bees. It's a bee. So bees are using something else, animal dung.
Right.
To do that. It's not, I don't know. Anyways. Tell me about bees, John.
So I don't know. I guess the reason, one of the things that I'm not a scientist. I presume this person, this entomologist, Heather Matilla. I guess I'm about to say I don't want to second guess her, but as I second guess her, but why would that be any more tool use than using tree sap for propolis, which they do, to close up the hive? That's what they use to help kind of seal up all the loose chinks and cracks and everything else. So I don't know. But it's still cool. It's cool to think that they're, using something to, how to defend and ward off the giant Asian hornets.
I guess it all depends on what the definition of tool is.
Yeah, exactly. So I will say, two things about bees, maybe 2 things. I could probably talk more, but don't ask me questions. The first of which is that I put up my swarm traps and yeah, springtime is bee time. So I'm super excited for the spring. And I guess I went over to a friend's house on Saturday and put up put up 2 swarm traps. That one of those I caught a swarm last year, which was super cool. I'm not sure what I'm going to do if I catch a swarm this year and for splits and stuff like that. So,
do you have any empty hives?
I do. I had 2 that died. And I went in actually this past weekend into my other hives, and all 5 of them are doing. I have 5 left. All 5 of them are doing awesome. I really thought that I had one super weak hive, but no. I mean, yes, weaker, but not weak. It had plenty of bees in there, and they were flying really well. And we've had some good weather here. The there's lots of cherries in bloom. Not in my orchard, and my wild cherries don't seem to be in bloom yet, but as you drive down streets and stuff like that, there's tons and tons of flowering cherries. But like in my little orchard, we've got the nectarine is just flowering like crazy, and the peaches are flowering like crazy. So I guess stone fruits are, cherries are stone fruits too, but the peaches and nectarines seem to be the early bloomers. So that's really awesome. I'm excited for spring, and I'm, kind of planning out what I'm going to do with my hives. Actually, before we started recording, I was reading some articles on some bee articles, and kind of actually scheming for what I'm going to build this weekend out in my shop. So, it is a fun time. And then, but the second thing I'm super excited about is there's a person in our local bee association,
fight club,
bee club, that is building. He calls it a bee quarter, so a recorder for. Remember, I might have told. I'm sure I told you, but I haven't. I don't know if I said on the podcast that I bought some weight sensors. A long time ago. A long time ago. I was going to build a weight scale
so you can weigh your hives.
Yeah, for the hives. And so this guy is building a little, basically a Pi Zero, and with a temperature, humidity, and weight sensors off of it. And he's bringing me 2 of them on Saturday. So I'm super excited, and I hope that it's got the scale.
Does it connect over Wi-Fi?
I saw what you put in follow up. It connects over
totally
LoRa.
Gonna segue.
It connects over LoRa. So I expect to have a LoRa gateway at my house this weekend. So it will be interesting to see how that happens. But and I'm also a little interested in how to power it. So he asked me. He's just got a Slack going on that I'm on, and he asked me the other day, how often do you want it to wake up and check on the values and such? And it's kind of optimized for power at the moment, because it's just going to be on I think it's 2 or 3 AA's. And he said that'll last 3 months probably if it's checking every 3 hours. But it only, evidently the regulator, he said, could go from 3.6 to 12 volts. And so I guess I'm kind of hoping I can get like a 9-volt battery and then wire that up to a small solar panel and just install that out there with a little charge regulator.
Okay.
So, because I did that for I've got some hot wire fence at a place where I have absolutely no power. So a couple of years ago, I bought a big, I don't know, is 100-watt solar panel big? It's like 2 feet by 3 feet, and put it up on the roof of a run-in shed, and then put a little charge controller and a car battery inside the shed, and that's been charging that fence super well for the last couple of years. Seems easy.
You get a rechargeable lithium ion I have a bunch of those little flat packs. You know, they're like cell phone batteries.
Uh-huh.
You know, they're very flat.
Uh-huh.
I wonder if you could use something like that.
I
And
don't
just
know.
if you're going to be able to recharge it, have it
Yeah.
recharge
I
like a
actually
little solar panel.
I have, if I can go to 12 volts, this is way TMI, but if I can go to 12 volt, I think they're 12 volts, for my, I helped replace some batteries in a scooter that we thought the batteries were bad not too long ago. And, they're lithium ion batteries, and they're pretty small. They're bigger. They're maybe a quarter the size of a car battery, maybe an eighth the size of a car battery. But they're pretty powerful. And, those, I've got two of them out there, and it turned out that it wasn't actually the batteries. It was the motor, in the scooter that I was attempting to repair. So it was kind of a little bit of a wasted $60 or something like that. But I have a battery, and the batteries are still good to the best of my knowledge. So anyway, we'll see.
Nice.
That'll be fun. But anyway, he's going to come over at 10 this weekend, and I'm hoping to have recordings of hive scale, hive temperature, hive humidity not long after.
Fun.
But yes, it does use LoRa.
So segue, follow up.
Uh-huh. I saw when you threw that in follow up, I was like, oh no, you didn't.
So LoRa, the low powered radio, right? That we talked about a while back with the Amazon Sidewalk is going to be using those, and it's a very low powered way to transmit data over long distances for IoT devices. So exactly what you're going to be throwing out at your beehives.
When we talked about LoRa, I don't remember if I said so on the podcast or if I was just, hey, there's this cool thing, la la la. It was because I had gotten the LoRa info from this bee quarter guy. And I was like, this is awesome. But now I'm actually getting it, hypothetically.
Well, what I wasn't aware, I mean, I knew some of this, but I wasn't aware that a number of cities around the world have already adopted this
I didn't know that
technology
either.
to manage utilities and other services. For example, in Taiwan, they've been using it since 2016, and they use it to monitor their garbage trucks and the water level of rivers, all sorts of different use cases, managing their dams, fresh food, bikes on the road, all sorts of stuff. Well, Trend Micro has a article, and this is just part one. It says it's going to be a 3-part series about security and possible types of attacks on LoRaWAN devices. So I'm just kind of throwing it out there. I don't want to go into a whole lot of detail on it, but they detail some types of denial of service attacks, a bit flipping in the message integrity. So the messages are encrypted, but once they hit your gateway, they aren't anymore. So you can do some interesting things there. Apparently the protocol allows for ACK spoofing. So when you send a message, the server will respond with, hey, yep, thanks, got it. But the server does not tell you which message it actually responded to. It just says, I got it. You may send 5 and you'll get an I got it. So I think, as this was just part 1, this may be the beginning of some fun types of attacks.
I remember when I first read about it, and again, I don't remember if I said something at the time on the podcast, but I was like, because it sounds like the sort of thing that, what's the name of that website? It was something things. Sorry, I don't remember it. But it sounds like it's the sort of thing that you can put one of these devices, just put it out, configure it with the ID, and it will literally, since this is long range, it'll just like periodically spit out this packet of data, and it expects some somebody who hears it to receive the packet and basically put it on the network. And it seemed like very. I don't know. The article that you have in here looks like there's a lot more security attempts on there than I had actually even realized from my earlier reading. But it might also be the difference between LoRa and LoRaWAN, because I guess I don't quite know what the difference is. The stuff I had read, I remember reading, months ago, was just about LoRa, not LoRaWAN. So,
right.
I don't know. We'll see. I'll be very curious because it says, even in this article, it says that it's primarily used in things like cities, like Taiwan, you were just saying, and also on like large agricultural places where, you want to throw out 100 sensors, but you don't want to pay 100 cell phone bills. Right? You're not going to put 3G or 4G on everything, but that's pretty cool.
So are you going to register your gateway on thethingsnetwork.org?
Is that what it is?
That's
the Things Network?
For. Yeah, thethingsnetwork.org, and it's a global map of where all LoRa
I'm going to give you a definite I don't know. So I'm not sure. What may make my decision for me is whether or not what I have to do with my home network. Because I guess, and this will lead into one of my topics later potentially. But I guess if I create a separate Wi-Fi just for the LoRa gateway, and then if it doesn't if it's not touching my main network, I might be willing to do that. But I'll have to play around with that a little bit.
You just stoop traffic, see who's using it.
Exactly. Could be fun. Could be fun.
John's honeypot, almost literally.
Oh, that's funny. Well played. Well played.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It's late, but I still got it. So
it is late. I think I laugh a lot at this because I think by this point of the night I'm kind of like a little punchy. So
yeah, exactly.
It's all good. I see this other article in follow up. I thought was humorous because I posted that too. Did you see that?
Yeah,
and then I realized, you had posted it like 8 hours before me.
No, this is just the one was it your something fun last week about eagles?
Yeah, I think it was last week.
And this one is just we'll call it follow-up fun about how, I guess, what was it, in the mid-90s, there was a bunch of eagles that were dying and everybody was worried about it. And they have now, there's a study. So this is an article that talks about the study that pinpointed the cause of the death of those eagles that I think we talked about last week. Apparently, the birds died from a type of algae that lives on a specific invasive water plant and makes some kind of toxin, but only in the presence of specific pollutants.
It's like crazy.
Yeah, everything had to hit just the right note for this chain of events to actually cause the death of all these eagles, but it kind of reflects just how much humans can affect the landscape.
Yeah.
As the part of the chain way removed in figuring it out. And so this kind of just goes through the heavy details, or the details of the study and what happened. And it's a 25-year, why are the eagles dying, who done it, and now we know who done it.
And a scientist that literally devoted her life, a huge chunk of her career, on really tracking down this mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was a super cool article. It was a super cool article. All right, well we'll post it in here and check it out. It's cyanobacteria plus bromine.
Good times.
Oof, amazing.
All right.
Okay.
Well, the article that I picked out this week is yet another Apple patch.
Yep. My father
this is
texted
gonna
me. He's
become-
like, "Wait, there's another one? Didn't we just do another?
Yeah.
Didn't we just do one? Did you install this yet? What's going on? Why do I have
Yeah.
to do I have to do this?"
I think this
And
is just
I'm
going to
like,
become
yep.
common.
Yep, you do.
The days of, well, anyway, so this is another WebKit flaw that potentially could allow someone with maliciously crafted web content to create cross-site scripting attacks. And it was found by Google's threat analysis group, and they disclosed the flaw. Apple's fixed it, and if you have an Apple device, you will want to double check, make sure you're up to date. The article actually doesn't talk about what the actual flaw was. And maybe I just need to find a better article.
Well, now that the patch is out, somebody will repro it and do it at some point, but hopefully get a lot of people to install it.
The interesting thing that I picked out of here is Apple is now apparently experimenting with ways to deliver security updates for their iPhones that's independent of other OS updates. Because generally with how they've changed some things of how devices work, I don't know if you've checked, but your security updates or your updates to your phone, well, you probably know because you have to download them and they probably take a while for you.
Yes,
They're
do.
very large. They're very large.
Yes, they do.
So it seems that Apple is trying to figure out how can we deliver smaller types of security updates outside the context of their regular OS updates.
I mean, think about that. I'm trying to remember how big that last iOS update was, but I want to say it was over a gigabyte.
I think it was closer to 2, if I remember right.
Yeah, I mean, it's the sort of thing that I don't wait for. I just hit the the download button and then wait, go to sleep or something. But I mean, multiply that by 300 million users, 400 million users. I mean, that is a lot of data.
Non-trivial.
That is a lot of data and a lot of, resources. Like, cut that down to an actual, just applying a patch, like literally a patch file. And, you can get probably a 10,000 to 1 size reduction or something along those lines. So I think this is the opportunity is there to make an enormous difference. So I'll be very curious. See that roll out.
All right.
There you go. What did I do?
That's all I got. What do you got?
Okay. I brought 2 articles. Yeah. So the first one is, did you know there was a vulnerability introduced in PHP?
Is PHP still a thing? That's what I have to say about that.
I thought I think the correct answer isn't PHP a vulnerability? But no, I'm sorry. Okay, we jest. So yes, I wonder where it sits on the Stack Overflow language list these days. I don't remember that for a while, but anyway, what happened was well, actually, let me just read this, read a little bit here. It's from the announcement. Yesterday, 2 malicious commits were pushed to the PHP source repo from the names of blah, blah, blah. We don't yet know how exactly this happened, but everything points towards a compromise of the get.php.net server rather than a compromise of an individual Git account. So PHP was kind of unique in that they were running their own Git instance and they were running their own ACLs, I guess, in front of it. That as opposed to just hosting it on GitHub.com or something like that. So here's the money quote of the article, though, is that, quote, "We have decided that maintaining our own Git infrastructure is an unnecessary security risk, and that we will discontinue the get.php.net server, and instead the repositories on GitHub, which were previously only mirrors, will become canonical. So,
There you go.
The important thing about this is running your own infrastructure. I think will become, if it isn't already, with things like the Exchange vulnerability, and the trend has been pretty evident for a time. Running your own infrastructure is more dangerous than not. And how long until you would have to justify why you should run your own servers. You shouldn't be running an Exchange server at this point. Like for that answer should apply to 99.9% of organizations. Same thing for things like GitHub. Same thing for so many things. Now, are all web services well run? No. Cue second topic in a moment. But from a risk reward, I think it's really, this is very telling, especially for something that is really in the open already, like a language like this, right? What's the margin for doing it yourself? So anyway, that was yeah, that's the thing. It's called Karma. Is their system for handling write access previously. So anyway, that was my first one, and there was the second thing I wanted to just mention about this. There was an Ars Technica article here. So that announcement was actually posted on the PHP group. But there's an article on Ars Technica, and I think you actually posted this in Slack, that had a little bit more info about the changes that actually got pushed. And
right.
The two commits added just a couple lines of code that basically fingered Zerodium, which is a company or a broker that buys exploits on the black market or gray market and sells them to government agencies. And so the Zerodium CEO came out on Twitter and said, no, Zerodium didn't do that at all, but that, quote, cheers to the troll who put, quote, Zerodium in today's PHP Git compromised commits. Obviously, we have nothing to do with this. Likely the researchers who found this bug / exploit tried to sell it to many entities, but none wanted to buy this crap, so they burned it for fun. So I just a little bit of trollery in the
trollery
in the gray space. Trollery. I can make up words. It's 10:45 at night. I can make up words. Okay. Anyway,
I'm cool with that.
So that was my
right.
first one. My second one, we've talked to Ubiquity a number of times, and the fact that I have a Ubiquity system. I seem to remember in January getting a note. I didn't go back and look that asked me to change my password and stuff like that. But there was a big breach of Ubiquity customer data in January. But evidently, the breach was much bigger than they let on, and a whistleblower has contacted Krebs on security and the European Data Protection Agency, something along those lines, basically saying that Ubiquity, the quote was, a source who participated in the response to that breach alleges Ubiquity massively downplayed a, quote, catastrophic, quote, incident to minimize the hit to its stock price, and that the third-party cloud provider claim was a fabrication. So, let's see. It was catastrophically worse than reported, and legal silenced and overruled efforts to decisively protect customers, Adam wrote in a letter to the European Data Protection Supervisor. And I think Adam was a pseudonym, if I remember the article. I'm not looking at the article. I'm looking at some notes I pulled out.
Right.
Quote, the breach was massive. Customer data was at risk. Access to customers' devices deployed in corporations and homes around the world was at risk, etc. Because they were fully in to the company Ubiquity's cloud service infrastructure. And Ubiquity has remote access to all of their devices. So when you log into the Ubiquity Cloud console, you can configure your devices. Well, I think you can do that for you if you choose for cloud management. You could do that, and regardless, you, I think by default at least, you leverage Ubiquity Cloud credentials to log on, even if you're running your own management console locally. So, which I'm totally doing. I've got a container. In fact, one of the things I did this past weekend, or no, it was while I was, quote, on vacation. One of the things I did while I was on vacation was I tore down my previous container and stood up a upgraded container for running the management console for Ubiquity. And but you know, when I log in, so it's actually running on my NAS, on my QNAP in a container. But if I connect to it and I try to authenticate, it's actually connecting, it's authenticating me with a Ubiquity account. They're the IDP, identity provider, and a second factor. So I think I'm okay in two ways. The first of which is that I don't expose that remotely or outside my network. And the second thing is that I require a second factor to log in,
right?
Which is in my, I use 1Password for it. So, but yeah, bad on. Sounds like bad on Ubiquity. So let's see. Getting back to the article here. Let's see. Adam says Ubiquity's security team picked up signals in late December that someone with administrative access had set up several Linux virtual machines that not accounted for in their infrastructure. And they found a backdoor that the intruder an intruder had left behind in the system. And so when the security engineers removed that backdoor, the backdoor account, it says, in the beginning of January, they got a ransom message basically saying they wanted 50 Bitcoin, $2.8 million, to remain quiet about the breach. And that the attackers, says they, quote, also provided proof they'd stolen Ubiquity's source code and pledged to disclose the location of another backdoor if their ransom demand was... Maybe I copied that. If their ransom demand wasn't met. So it says Ubiquity did not engage with the hackers, but that ultimately the incident response team found a second backdoor, or the second backdoor, and that they then spent a few days furiously rotating credentials and passwords before alerting customers to reset all their passwords.
Right.
Et cetera, et cetera. But, all right, two more things about this. The first of which is that there was a quote on March 31st at 6:58 p.m. So that was just today, I guess, Eastern time. It says Ubiquity published a statement saying its experts identified, quote, no evidence that customer information was accessed or even targeted. But on this point, it says Adam was clear. And again, quote, Ubiquity never recorded who had access to those files or when, so it can say there is no evidence because there are no access logs to search through. So, talk about...
I didn't see it, it didn't happen.
Exactly. At the end of the day, this sucks. Because I so respect companies that jump on issues, disclose what happened, and fix it. And, I feel like you can trust That does nothing but build trust.
Yeah.
Doing what it sounds like Ubiquity's been doing for the last, or did during this response, it does nothing but sow doubt and distrust that the company will, behave appropriately in the future. So,
Right.
not good. So the final point I guess I was going to bring out of that is there, along with in the statement, there's also a comment that says, quote, "At this point, we have well-developed evidence the perpetrator is an individual with intricate knowledge of our cloud infrastructure. As we are cooperating with law enforcement in an ongoing investigation, we cannot comment further." So, malicious insider? Like, what was it just last week? We talked about the person that got fired and then did damage. So
right.
We'll see. I bet you there's more follow-up, but regardless, if this is really the way Ubiquity behaved, that really, really sucks.
Yeah.
Really sucks. So anyway, there you go. Those are my topics.
All right. You ready for something fun?
I'm always ready for something fun.
So, Doom.
Doom made me so sick I totally couldn't play it.
Defines the 90s in terms of video games.
Totally.
It was
amazing.
Anyway, so over the years, Doom source code is now publicly available, and people have been porting it to apparently McDonald's cash registers, iPhone, they've been porting Doom to everything. And so a guy has taken and flipped that on his head. Do you remember the game that predated Doom, Snake?
I do not remember Snake. What?
Oh, you don't remember the little snake where the little thing goes around and you just have to try to, if it touches you and it keeps getting longer and longer and longer and you have to move it so that it avoids the...
Oh, yeah. Okay,
right?
okay. Where did I see that?
So
wherever that was, it has been so long and I don't remember where I would have actually seen or played that.
So he
maybe on a Mac. Was that on the early Macs?
It was on early everything because it was a text-based, 40 character. You could play it on a monochrome monitor.
Yeah,
it's on DOS type thing.
Anyway, I'll have to. I'm sure there's some examples on YouTube.
I'm sure there are. So what he did was he hacked Doom. He found some vulnerabilities in Doom. So didn't just have the source code to Zoom, but found vulnerabilities in Zoom and then hacked and put the game of Snake inside of Doom.
Oh, that is awesome.
That's all I got. I just thought it was funny. So, he was playing with the Doom source code, found some vulnerabilities and said, what can I do with that? And then, like anyone, said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put a video game inside a video game. And there you go. Snake.
That is cool. People have a lot of time on their hands sometimes. That's cool.
All right.
Okay. What's my something fun? My something fun is a science thing. Science. Beware. Science. Quote, "The massive remains of an alien world are hidden near the Earth's core," a new study proposes. So, I think the leading theory for how the moon was created was that there was a collision with another planetary-sized body, the Earth, back when the Earth was forming, right? And because the moon rocks that have come back have shown that the moon is made of
cheese,
the Earth.
Oh, sorry.
Cheese. Yes. So let's see, what is this? So this was presented at the 52nd Lunar and Planetary Science Conference 2021. But so it says, quote, "Two gigantic chunks of material lurking deep under the surface of Earth might be the remnants of an alien world called Theia that violently collided with our infant planet in an ancient impact that created the moon. End quote. So, the team led by, Shenyang? Did I pronounce that okay? Eric's like,
sure,
not touching it. A PhD student studying geological sciences at Arizona State University. There are two mysteriously dense zones located more than 1,000 miles under Earth's surface that are potentially leftover Theia mantle materials. So, let's see. They back up this trippy idea with geodynamical models as well as evidence collected about these subterranean zones known as Large Low Shear Velocity Provinces, LLSVPs, or more informally as the blobs. So
there's a 50s B movie in there somewhere.
Right, totally. So one's under the Pacific Ocean, one's under West Africa, and they are continent-sized, are hundreds of miles high and thousands of miles across, making them the most massive formations in Earth's interior. The hypothesis proposes that the moon was formed in the fallout of a catastrophic collision some 4.5 billion years ago. Earth had barely been born before another planet crashed into it, spewing enormous volumes of planetary debris into space that eventually accumulated into the radiant natural satellite that graces our skies today. That's a very fancy sentence. But scientists have generally estimated that this bygone planet named Theia was about the size of Mars, but some models suggest it was both smaller and bigger. Okay, so we don't know. It was about this size, or smaller or bigger.
Or it was bigger, or it was smaller.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that is a correct statement. It was probably either bigger or smaller.
Covering their bases, aren't they?
Anyway, I had not. Well, I guess I had heard previously that the moon was formed from a particularly large impact, so I think that was not new to me. But the fact I'd never heard of these LLSVPs, and the hypothesis that those are kind of the remains of the planet is kind of cool. So
this makes me want to go reread Seveneves.
I told you that we listened to that last week, right?
Is that but you said you listened to a book that was 35 hours long.
That is totally the book we listened to.
You didn't tell me what one.
That is what we listened to.
There you go.
The boys and I listened to Seveneves last week. Because that's funny that you said that. And it was very good. It was very good.
Yeah. Awesome.
So anyway, well, there you go. There you go.
Nice.
Earth devouring planet. A planet getting eaten by the Earth. I don't know. Sure.
All right.
That's pretty cool. I guess the last thing they hypothesized some ways to try and do some testing. But so we'll see. Maybe there'll be more. All right, man.
All right.
Should we call it a show?
That's what we shall do.
All right.
Have a good night, John.
All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
All right, bye.